Hey YouTube, tonight I'm at the shop and I wanted to talk to you about stick welding. Now a lot of people ask me online and YouTube and Welding Web and such, what is stick welding? Well, this video I'm going to try to explain it a little better. Stick welding stands for shielded metal arc welding, aka stick, sometimes referred to as just arc welding. Now what stick welding is you got a stick electrode, which is a metal rod coated in flux. Now what this flux does is, when you strike the rod, this flux melts at a rapid pace, so you got to keep pushing your electrode down into the weld puddle in order to keep an arc going. And if you pull your electrode too far away from the metal, that's called long arcing, and the arc will go out. Now, what does the flux do? Well, whatever type of welding process you do, whether it be MIG, TIG, stick, oxyacetylene, brazing, whatever you do, it's got to have some form of shielding from contaminants around the weld puddle. Oxygen, dirt, paint, rust, mold, anything can contaminate a weld. The air you breathe can contaminate a weld. But that's why in stick welding we have this flux on the rod. Now if you tried to weld with just a straight metal rod, it would look like gobs. Just a shitty looking weld all around. It wouldn't look good. There'd be no penetration. There'd be a lot of slag. It'd just be an ugly weld. This is where the flux comes in. In every welding process, like I was saying, there's something that shields the weld from contaminants. In stick welding, it's flux. It's flux coating on the electrode. In MIG welding, it's shielding gas. In oxyacetylene, it's a gas welding rod. In brazing, you have a rod and you dip it in flux, and that flux shields the rod and the weld puddle from contaminants. But back to stick welding. Now, stick welding, as easy as it may look when you first watch it on like a YouTube video or something, it's not as easy as it looks. You have to be able to keep a certain gap when you're welding, like an 1/8 of an inch gap away from the metal you are welding, or the electrode will stick and you'll burn so many electrodes, and after a while you'll just give up, like I did. I had a little DC inverter in the summer of 2012, and I just gave up. I took it back to Walmart. Well, my uncle, who's a certified welder, convinced me to learn how to stick weld, and I got some 7018 and just went at it till I got it. I'm still learning, but I know a good bit about welding. Now, you have to adjust your amperage and your polarity. Now, 95% of the time, every rod runs better on DC-EP, DC electrode positive. But if you want more penetration, DC negative is going to be the way to go. Then there's two types of arc welders. There's an AC power source and a DC power source. If you're in the market for a welder, I highly recommend the Hobart Sickmate LX AC/DC version. It's basically a Miller Thunderbolt without blue paint on it and without the price tag of an actual Miller. Fact is, Hobart and Miller are owned and manufactured by the same company, so basically you buy a Hobart, you're buying a Miller. Now, when you start welding and start making a puddle, you'll see this molten covering falling as you drag the rod along. You'll think, well, what's that? That is slag. Slag protects the weld from contaminants, and so does the flux. But once you're done with the weld, once your seam or joint is all welded up, you have to chip that slag off with a chipping hammer, and then you have the wire brush. And a fact that I've learned is if you get a heavy, good coating of slag, now not all the time, but that generally means you have a good weld. Now, if you have to beat the hell out of the metal you're welding to get the slag off, generally you haven't got a good weld and you've got something set wrong. Now, let's talk about electrodes. Well, I have in my hand here 3 of the most commonly used electrodes in stick welding today. The first is 6013. This is a fast freeze rod. Now what do I mean by fast freeze? This just means the puddle solidifies a little bit quicker. This is a very good rod for sheet metal, 1/8 inch, 3/16, just like a general purpose rod. Now, they come in all different diameters. This I have here is a 1/8 6013 electrode. You can run it on AC, DC positive, and DC negative. And it runs best around 105, 120 amps. I've noticed on my machine. Now, this rod is good for beginners because it's very easy to strike. You just touch it to the metal and it basically strikes. Now there's all different diameters of this electrode and different diameters for different purposes. Now I like 1/8. It basically just does the job for me, but if you want to do like sheet metal, I would recommend 1/16, 3/32. They got 5/64, I think. You know, just the thinner the rod, the less amps you need, and the less amps you need means the less chances you are to blow through your sheet metal. Now, 6011. This is for a heavy steel. What I have here is a 1/8. Like I say, it comes in all the diameters I mentioned with 6013. And this is generally good for like bad fit up, dirty metal, rusty metal, paint. It'll go through all that with no problem. You don't have to clean it. If you have metal that's not necessarily clean, keep a handful of 6011 in your welding jacket and you'll be good for the day. But this is a very, very high penetration rod. It is also good for first passes. What you could do if you were welding like, let's say a T-joint, and you wanted to weld the entirety of that joint, well, you can tack weld with this rod also. So you just tack it here and tack it there. Both corners are tack welded. Now you can run your full bead. Well, this is good for a first pass. Then you take either, depending on the metal thickness, You either take 3 32nd inch 7018, or what I've got here, which is 5 32nd 7018, and just do your remaining passes with that. That being said, very common rod in industry. They use it for everything. Now it comes in all the diameters I mentioned with 6013 and 6011. Very good rod, low, medium penetration. It's a low hydrogen rod. It's my favorite rod to run. Just a very versatile rod. You can use this for just about anything, but you have to have fairly clean metal, no rust or contaminants. Like I say, 6011 is better suited for that. Just a good, if you're doing a lot of projects, burning a lot of rod, you're going to want some 7018 and 6011 on hand. That is basically the 3 most common electrodes. Now there's like 7014, 7024, 6012. There's nickel electrodes. There's cutting and chambering electrodes. There's just all sorts of electrodes. And if you want to know more, I would recommend going over to Chucky 2009's YouTube channel. That guy knows his shit. He helped me a good bit when I first started welding. I learned a lot from watching his channel. But hope this video helps somebody out. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.